Hi everyone, Dr. Drew Ramsey. If this is your first video, welcome. If this isn't, welcome back. Let's talk about what are the most powerful interventions in terms of lifestyle changes that you can make when it comes to depression, whether this is having a clinical diagnosis or just having a low mood. How can we make choices in our everyday life and change our lifestyle to improve depression? So, what are the really powerful ones? We know there are lots of other treatments, but when I look at a patient and I think about their everyday life, I'm really looking for a set of seven factors that really can make a difference when it comes to mood and comes to depression. So, number one is not going to surprise you, nutritional psychiatry and nutrition. This notion of looking at food through the lens of what does the brain need, what does the gut and the microbiome need, and what are the food categories that we eat every day. So this is where the leafy greens, making sure things like nuts, seeds, and beans, lots of seafood, lots of rainbow vegetables. So getting nutrition dialed in, that can feel overwhelming if you're feeling really down and depressed. And that's the good news about nutritional psychiatry. These are really simple interventions, and it's delicious. There's oven roasted vegetables, more olive oil, right? Simple things that really make a big difference when it comes to depression over time. Number two is movement. A lot of times we say exercise. It's great if you can work up a sweat, but just getting out and moving, whether it's walking, stretching, getting out for a bike ride, it's really important to have movement be an essential part of your life. I've had a lot of patients over the years join up dancing classes, just really engaging with your body in that way is incredibly good for depression. Lots of studies have shown that getting some exercise, ideally every day, that's really my personal goal, but at least for 150 minutes a week, so 5 30-minute sessions, has a huge impact on both the prevention and the treatment of clinical depression. So great mood booster, movement. Number three is going to be sleep and improving the quality of your sleep, both getting consistently good sleep, but also working on the entry into sleep and the things during your day that might negatively impact sleep. Sleep is when our brain cleans itself out. We have this whole system called the glymphatic system in our brain that is how we remove the waste from our brain. It makes sense. The brain burns so much fuel that it also creates a lot of waste. So the evening when we're sleeping is when our brain gets rid of all of that. It's also just critical when it comes to keeping your mood up. I think almost everyone watching can attest, right? When we don't get enough sleep, it's easier to be irritable, to be negative, to really not have a positive mood. So from both a chronic standpoint in terms of depression risk, but also that day-to-day sleep and sleep quality is really critical in terms of preventing depression. All right, let's think about stress management and that being, again, a lifestyle choice. It doesn't feel that way. Stress management requires a few things that are hard for all of us. It requires us to have good boundaries and set good boundaries so we can manage what's in front of us. It requires us to have that mental strength and mental discipline and practice to stay in our stance, to really have a sense of ourselves and a sense of prioritizing what do we want to be focused and worried about. So stress management is really key. If you have a life where it constantly is feeling out of control and chaotic, managing that stress is going to be one of the most important lifestyle changes that you can make. It requires some discipline, some structure, some boundaries, but it pays off huge dividends. One of the ways that you can get better at stress management is by fostering more mindfulness. Mindfulness gets called a lot of things in the wellness world. Sometimes people talk about meditation and clearing out your mind. Mindfulness is a type of meditation practice, but it's one about mental focusing. And this is really important for depression because when we're struggling with depression, we often really have to shift our focus from negative thoughts to thoughts of more positivity or gratitude, or from not feeling motivated to engaging in motivation, to doing things. And so mindfulness allows us to do this. It can be very simple, really focusing intently on the food that you're eating or on the feeling of the air coming into your nose, or just on your breath. These are all powerful aspects that help our mind have more mindfulness and then overall help you have more focus and clarity. So a great lifestyle change for you when you're thinking about depression. The next one is fostering connectivity. Now, this is both important neurologically, right, on a cellular level. When we're trying to recover or prevent depression, we're looking at connecting neurons, having neurons be very interconnected. But also in someone's life, you want to have a sense of being connected, connected to a community, connected to a support group around you, friends and family, and connected to your sense of self, which is so hard when you have depression because there's a real degradation of that and often negativity around that. So having a good sense of connection, how do we do that? That sounds really challenging, right? Especially if you're struggling with depression, you're watching this, you're like, oh, come on, you're not feeling a lot of self-esteem or confidence or maybe a lot of mental clarity or very motivated and just down. So it can be challenging. And that's where having a structure around it is really, really helpful. For me, I've done things like joined basketball leagues or joined up a barn to learn a new skill of horseback riding, or just joining a cooking class. It can be all kinds of things. Maybe it's something simpler than that isn't as public or as digital, but making sure you're fostering some connections with people. And ideally, what's great for mood and for depression is fostering more deeper, more intimate connections with people. That, of course, just to remember and remind everyone, that takes a little bit of time. So those first little initial steps, putting some structure around it is really, really helpful. And finally, number 7 of the most powerful lifestyle changes when it comes to depression is going to be nature, time in nature. Has to be every day. Ideally, you should really start your day of getting some fresh air. Really one of our recommendations in our course, Healing the Modern Brain, that applies to sleep is getting early morning light and just getting a moment with yourself and with nature. I also really encourage immersive big nature experiences. If you can get out into the vast wilderness, if you can get out safely, but get out into storms and into weather and into what I call big nature, just very, very good for our mental health and for depression in terms of having a sense of our place in the world, having a sense of awe and bigness and the wonder of things. So those are my 7 most powerful lifestyle changes. I hope those help you in your journey as you're thinking about mood and depression. You don't have to do all these at once. I don't want it to be an overwhelming list, but it should be an empowering list. These are all interventions backed up by science and also ones that we intuitively know help us as human beings feel good and keep our moods up. So please feel my encouragement. Engage in these as much as you can, and I hope they help you as you think about improving your mood and fighting depression. Please sign up so you can subscribe down below, or also we've got a great Friday Feels newsletter that comes out if you're interested in more information on how to keep your mental fitness up. I'm Dr. Drew Ramsey. I'll see you in the next video.